Hello all, my name is Aira Guadalupe Medrano Carrillo. This is my informative speech on understanding the different history of Disneyland and Communications 101. Here are my two note cards. All right, we'll begin by showing off our audience tonight. All right, let's begin. So, I have a quick question. How many of you guys ever thought or questioned of how the happiest place on earth came to be? How was it created? All right, we'll begin by a quick statistic on how many visitors visit the park a day. On average, there's about 40,000 visitors a day. The Disney Magic Kingdom has been open for about 68 years, and Disney California Adventure has only been open for about 22 years. Disneyland's theme park has been around for many, many years. And these many years, it's brought happiness to families all over the world. We're sticking, though, today to the California Anaheim Adventure Park. We'll then talk about the three main decades. We have the mid-50s to late 60s, the early 70s to late 90s, and lastly, the 2000s to 2023. Now that we've discussed some of the major decades, we'll continue by talking about the 1954 to 1969 decades. In 1954, Walt Disney is a creator, and he decided to begin construction to the first ever Disneyland theme park. This was located in Anaheim, California. In 1955, July 17 was the first private opening. It was a disastrous opening. They had counterfeited tickets all day long, which made it difficult for them to have the capacity, the restrooms, the places to sit down, etc. In 1959, they opened the monorail, which was 2.5 miles long around the park. They had the Sleeping Beauty castle walkthrough, and then the Matterhorn. These three attractions can still be seen today and used at the California Adventure Park. In 1966, sadly, Walt passed away. It was a very sudden death. No one was ready for him to pass away so soon. So it was very difficult for them to continue the park. Well, I'm going to read an article by Jenny Ascraft in 2020. She says, David McFadden, a 22-year-old student, arrived at Disney on July 17, 1955. He waited alone in the dark all night. He was determined to be the first to buy and enter the park. By dawn, the park's line has grown up to 60,000 people. On the morning of July 18, 1955, Walt Disney arrived. He picked two children from the back of the line and allowed them to enter the park for free. McFadden's long night had paid off. He purchased the first ticket and entered the park first. After all these years in preparations, Disneyland opened for the first time 68 years ago. Now that I've mentioned what's happened in 1954 to 1969, we'll proceed to the 1970s to 1999. This is after Walt's death. In 1972, the area known as Bear Country has now opened. Bear Country is one of the biggest, most thrill rides seeking attractions at Disney. In 1978, they opened Space Mountain. Space Mountain was one of the biggest attractions ever opened at Disneyland. In 1991, the Westcott project was announced. But sadly, in 1955, due to financial restrictions, it was canceled. We'll talk about more about how the impact Splash Mountain had and its sad removal. In Michael Ramirez's 2021 article, since opening on July 17, 1989, Splash Mountain has splashed into many hearts of Disneyland guests. One of the most recognized landmarks at Disney, this attraction follows the adventure of the beloved Bear Rabbit. You would quickly join the adventure. And then this is one of the staples that would be removing this year because they are going to replace it with the Princess and the Frog ride. We'll then lastly continue to the 2000 and 2023 updates. In 2001, Disney California Adventure opened. In 2004, we had the opening of the Twilight Zone, which was then replaced with the Guardians of the Galaxy's Mission Breakout in 2017. And then throughout that year, they also had the Downtown Disney attraction, which was free for anyone to walk through. In 2018, they opened Pixar Pier and Cars Land. Again, one of the biggest attractions in Disneyland. We'll then continue to the 2019 to 22 COVID. What happened during COVID? If we go through our article in 2022, Kate Swisher says, it's happening. Disney is temporarily closing its doors because of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. The California-based theme park announced Thursday that it will shut down all operations starting Saturday through the end of March in order for the ward-off continue to spread of COVID-19. It is only the third time that it has closed its operation. The first time was the National Day of Mourning for the president of John F. Kennedy in 1963. And the second one was in 9/11 in the wake of the terrorist attack. Hopefully that these information has helped you learn more about the history of Disneyland. I'm going to end the speech with a quotation said by Walt Disney himself. Disneyland will never be complete. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in the world. So thank you for listening to my speech. Here is my 2 cards. One more time, a pan of our audience.